I've reviewed a number of rangefinders on my channel, and I've done budget, I've done really expensive, and actually the majority of what I've done has been fairly expensive for rangefinders. A lot of them tend to be in the $300 to $800 price point, depending on what the technology is and what they can do. And I understand that not everybody needs a rangefinder in that price point with those certain capabilities. And that price point puts it out of reach for a lot of people. I know that, and I have definitely been there and done that. And sometimes when you're hunting or bow hunting, small game hunting, you just don't need all of those features, or something at that price point is unreasonable to do. You're hunting with a budget set up maybe, which is something I do very often. And that's where something like this comes in. This is the AOFAR rangefinder. Now, I had not heard of this company until very recently. They reached out and I looked over their website, and it looks like they're taking themselves pretty seriously, which is a good start. They want to understand the technology well. They want to know how users are interfacing with their technology. What kind of things are people ranging? What is the weather like? Reflective targets, non-reflective targets. They're asking the right questions, and they're trying to get into the right information. So I said, yes, I will take a look at this. And here's what I found about the AOFAR rangefinder. Something that matters to me a lot is getting the distance right, because I want my data to be right. I want my zero to be true. And that way, if I'm cranking on turrets or I'm trying to take ethical shots on animals, even with low power, rounds like PCPs, break barrels, rimfire rifles, if I'm trying to hunt and do something ethically, I want to make sure I have the right distance, the right data, and the right point of impact. And so one of the things that helps me do that would be this AOFAR rangefinder. AOFAR sent this out. It's got a cool camo pattern, kind of fits what I'm wearing right now, and this is just kind of this is the vibe for like 2 months, is a lot of camo and a lot of orange. But this fits in well with that. It's got a really nice rubberized overmold with a hard body. You have your battery port on the side, and then you have a nice diopter which moves really freely, smoothly. It's also rubberized, has like a built-in texture and grip. And the body and footprint is not too big. I've chosen to run it with the lanyard on there, with a slip lanyard, especially for bow hunting. You can range something, drop it, and pull back on your bow at the same time without putting this down. It's nice to be able to wear this on your side. There's a rabbit over here at 30 yards. And it's just really nice to have that hanging on. So I actually appreciate that feature. It's useful. This one doesn't have a 1/4-inch jack underneath, but my friends over at Lux Gun, thank you to my friend Max, he sent this out. So sometimes when I'm using it at a bench or a table, I can throw it on here and get a really nice steady ranging, especially if you're going to do something at distance. It's just convenient to rest it on a backpack or something like this Lux Gun device. I'm right at 40 yards. And the difference between 40 and 50 or 25 yards with this PCP here in front of me from Pinty is actually considerable for your data. And that's one of the reasons that even at close distances, this AOFAR device is very useful. It's got plenty of magnification that's well enough for most of the things that I do, especially hunting. And you have a few different modes when it comes to the information on your display. I like the ability to do constant ranging. I like the ability to have my battery readout right in there, because if there's one thing I hate, it's not knowing if a battery is going to die on me or not when I take it out there. So you always end up putting a fresh battery in. You might be just wasting money and throwing it down the drain, honestly, sometimes. So I like being able to range on the spot with my function buttons. Up here you have mode, and then you have power. The responsiveness of the AOFAR is pretty good, and the consistency has been pretty good for me. It is not perfect. It's not a $900 rangefinder, but it is pretty practical. Right now, I'm ranging dark brown, bright red, metal targets that are white, and an orange flag. Let's do some trees. And they're all in a line, and I got the same distance for each one of them. Sometimes color patterns can throw things off. Sometimes non-reflective targets can seem to absorb color or light in a different way. Or if you're going into the shadow, let's try that out next. I do know the distances ahead of me, like right here, ahead, a dark tree in the shadow. And it's 20 yards from where I'm sitting right now, and I got 19 yards. So is it consistent? Yeah, it's pretty consistent. It was a yard off, but I find actually when you're really, really close, you might get a disparity in your distances. When it goes out a little bit further, let's say 100, 200 yards, that's where this actually seems to shine a little better for whatever reason. But everything has to be calibrated to certain distances, and the way that you're sending and receiving, it probably does matter what distance you're at. But will a 1 yard distance error, and they all have error, will a 1 yard distance error make a difference? No, not for me, not for you. Nothing that you're shooting, that 1 yard distance is not going to make a difference this close. Now, when you're shooting at, let's say, 1,000 yards with a 308, not much of a difference. If you're shooting 1,000 yards with a 22, a pretty big difference. You know, it kind of depends what you're using. And so 1 yard disparity at close distances, that's okay. I can deal with that difference and error. When I run out to further and further distances, the fact that it seems to line up pretty well with some of the more expensive rangefinders, I'm impressed. The image quality is a budget image quality. It's not going to be that premium glass, but when you're talking about premium glass, even in something like this, you might be paying $9,000, $900 to $1,000, somewhere in there. And I know a lot of us just don't need that. This is going to compete with a lot of the other mid-tier and budget laser rangefinders, but you're gonna get some of those same features. You're gonna get the same kind of battery. You get an adjustable diopter. You get a nice readout with a good display, cool camo pattern, good rubberized texture with a form factor and a lanyard, and you're gonna pay hardly nothing compared to the price of some of the competitors. So dealing with budget glass, that's okay. It really doesn't bother me because I can still range a really good distance. I can see things close. I can get a clear enough image at what I'm looking at around me right now. And the reticle boldness is sufficient that I can contrast quickly. I'm getting good response times, and that's what you want in a rangefinder. One of the things I can do is to go to incremented distances, like right now, where I know I'm exactly at 25 yards because of the range I'm at. Okay. I got 23 yards at 25, so a little difference there. I did make sure to range a few different things standing around it just in case the color discrepancy or reflectiveness, you know, mattered. That does matter sometimes. I found with a lot of rangefinders, even the really expensive one, guys, what you're actually ranging, if it's reflective or not, the color, I found differences with them. So that's not uncommon. At 25 yards, would it make a difference for me? Nope, that would be just fine. 23 to 25, not a big issue. And it's better than me guessing, which is kind of the main point of a rangefinder. You're not as good at guessing yard distances as you think you are. You need technology. Now let's go ahead and do right at 50. And adjust that diopter a little bit. Okay. All right. At 50, I was hitting 49. So honestly, it's within a yard, or I was standing just slightly off. I think that's reasonable enough. Let's do 75, and then we'll finish it off with 100. Okay, right at 75. Adjust that diopter again. A little bit of a lightly shaded reticle, not too black. Okay, 75. So that one said 75, which is a good sign. We're keeping the trend of being pretty consistent. Again, I'm not standing in an exactly consistent spot. And put this down. And I gotta take a step back actually. Adjust that diopter one more time until it's appropriate. And you know what? think that's right on. 99 yards. One more step back would be 100. So I'm getting good, consistent reads so far with this. And again, it would be a heck of a lot better than guessing with your eye about distances when you're not at a range with fixed marked intervals as you're walking. This is going to save you a lot of time, and ballistically it's going to help. With archery, it's definitely going to help. So if you're interested in this, maybe go ahead and click the link that I have below. These are going to have, I'm pretty sure, a sale coming up really soon. And you might find these interesting or useful before your next hunt, or if you're just even sitting down at the range and you want to range around different distances and confirm, this is a great tool for that.